All right, hi everyone, I'm back again, focusing more on college stuff this time. I really thought it was a good time to do this video because I know it's about to be May, which is when everyone graduates from high school, typically here in the US. I mean, that's how it works. And I wanted to explain how I graduated college, a 4-year degree program at a state university, debt-free, and with savings. And if you want to know how to do that and how I did it, keep watching the video. I will try and explain it in a step-by-step process. I have my computer in front of me, my laptop, to take you through several tabs, which will be the process of how to get funds for college and graduate debt-free, which is everyone's goal, and I'm so grateful that I did it, and I have no student debt or anything like that. And then I got savings as well, which is something crazy that people don't even know you can do with scholarships. So, okay, first step you have to do in front of me, I have opened the FAFSA student aid website. FAFSA stands for Federal Student Aid, and it is important that you fill this out. Even if you think that you are not in need of financial aid, every university is going to need it if they want to even offer you a scholarship based on merit. For some reason, that is how the system works. And you never know, filling out your FAFSA, if you become an independent and you're no longer dependent on your parents, you might come off as actually needing quite a lot of financial aid all of a sudden, at least to the university and the government. So fill it out first. That's step numero uno. And now step 2, the big one, is you must figure out how to get a good score on your PSAT. And I say figure out because I am going to recommend a method to you, but it might be a different method that works better for you. I just have what I used, and sadly, even what I used and as much studying as I did, I never became a National Merit Scholar. I'm just terrible at test taking, but I know friends and family who have become National Merit Scholars using these methods that I used, so it's a recommendation. Sadly, I don't have a testimony success story with this, but it's so important to at least once you fill out your FAFSA for college, yes, but actually in the grand timeline of things, you should be starting your practice for your PSAT freshman year of high school. That freshman year, you're gonna have the opportunity to take the PSAT once a year, all the way up through that junior year of high school. Sorry, I'm trying to remember this, but I believe it's junior year because the rules changed when I was graduating between senior and junior year. It's about 3 times you'll get to take it. And those 3 times are offered by your state public school system. So if you're homeschooled, you can still go and register at your local public school to take the PSAT with all the other students. And the reason I'm putting so much emphasis on the PSAT is because this is how you become a National Merit Scholar. There are different scores. This is an annoying thing. This is what's on the webpage in front of me. There are different score minimums you need to qualify as a National Merit Scholar, depending on the state you live in. That's an important thing. So I have this website showing how you need a score of a 223 in New Jersey and a 216 in South Carolina to begin qualifying as like a semi-finalist for being a National Merit Scholar. I know this is a lot I'm throwing at you, but my point in all of this is, if you're in Texas, you're going to have to work a little bit harder than if you're in New Mexico to get to be semifinalist qualifying for your PSAT. It's okay. That's how the system works. And this number that you see, this 220 or 221, this number above 200, is calculated by the test people, the College Board, and you'll see this number on your PSAT score report. It's not your actual score, it's an additional number that they've calculated. I don't know how they do it, but they do something. Your real score, which could be on like a 1600 or something, goes into this obviously, but this is different than that big 4-digit score that you should hopefully be getting if you study. So you have to study for your PSAT. You get 3 chances to take it, unlike the SAT, which I will talk about a little more later. But with the PSAT, study, 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 because you'll get to semifinalist, and then you'll be offered another application to send in, and then once you become a National Merit Scholar, which hopefully you do, you will become eligible for full ride scholarships to so many universities in at least the United States, maybe in Europe as well. I'm not 100% sure about that. I know a lot about America though. And that's what this website is in front of me, is a list of like schools in the US that offer full rides if you are a National Merit Scholar. And a full ride it doesn't mean just tuition. It doesn't mean the university is only paying your tuition. It means they're going to pay your tuition, your room and board, your books, your fees, your transportation costs, miscellaneous costs. These numbers get very large. These are very large sums of money that they will give you for being a National Merit Scholar. So if you want to graduate college debt-free, you get to be a National Merit Scholar. Now, obviously, I wasn't one, so because of that, I can show you that there is another route if you're a terrible test taker like me, and no matter how hard you try and study, you just can't seem to do it. That's okay. I'm going to give you the second route to becoming a debt-free college graduate, which is to score super well on your SAT, hopefully, because the SAT, it does not qualify you to ever be a National Merit Scholar. It's completely separate, but you can take it so many more times. I took it a total of 5 times, and I honestly probably should have taken it more. Yes, it costs money to take it, but think of it as an investment in your future. I took it, I got a better score every time, and I think if I just kept taking it, I could have qualified for higher scholarship amounts from the universities I was applying to. And I'll show you a diagram of what these universities offer based on your test scores in a second. That's really helpful for understanding this. But do your SAT, take it as often as you can, and do a bunch of practice tests. I'm going to show you the program I used for studying for my SAT, and it's very helpful because it kind of approaches the test in a different way than typical test preps do. So that's why I recommend it so strongly. It works really well for homeschoolers as well, and it's affordable. Just keep practicing as many practice tests as you can. Set a goal for yourself. Watch your score increase. Okay, so that is now, step 3, I guess we're on. But I'm going to give an example of what like a university looks at when it comes to giving you scholarship money. So you also have the ACT you can be taking, which honestly, I took it twice and I should have probably taken it more because it seemed that my brain liked the ACT more than the SAT. That is a very common misconception, is that they're the exact same test. They're actually not. Obviously they're formatted very similar, but I think that they do target slightly different brain types. So take them both and see which one you score higher on, and then focus on one over the other. They do, like, study guide translates to both, but keep that in mind too, because people tend to ignore one or the other, but do them both. And so in this chart, you can see National Merit Scholars get 100% everything covered. But then if you have a high school ranking, you can get a scholarship amount per year. That's harder for a homeschooler because we don't technically qualify into a percentage ranking, which is very tricky and difficult, and I wish we could fix that. I could go on a tangent. But besides that, if you have a public school ranking that's in top 10%, great. You're already on your way to getting amazing scholarships. Make sure you apply for the scholarships though, because when you apply to a college, that doesn't automatically put you in the running for these scholarships. There's usually a second application you have to fill out to make sure that they can know you want scholarships. So apply for that second, do that second application that will let you get these scholarships from the university, because you didn't do anything but score a really good GPA in high school, and then you get rewarded for that. But if you're homeschooled like me, instead you had to focus on your tests, which I ended up scoring in the 1300 range of my SAT, and then I got a 27 on my ACT, but thankfully it bumped me up to the $5,000 per year to cover my tuition, which a state university, again, is much more affordable than a private university. I remember in my application process, I did apply a lot for private schools too, and they did offer me some scholarships based on my scores. But the percent that they covered of my tuition, even though it was a very large sum of money, larger than this $5,000, it didn't cover very much of my tuition. So don't get snobby at your state universities, as well as my big advice. Heck, like, no one really cares what college you graduated from in the workforce, in the real world. It barely counts for anything. Don't go spending a crazy amount of money to go to some super expensive private university unless they have some degree that is beyond impossible to find anywhere else. That's just my 2 cents on the topic, but here I go. So $5,000 covered almost all of my tuition. I would have about $2,000 extra that I would need to cover with external scholarships, or something else you need to look into is that when you choose your degree for college, you have a department you're in now. So I was in the Department of Horticulture in the College of Agriculture, Science, and Natural Resources. So because of that, and I had filled out that extra scholarship application to the university, universities have these scholarship applications every year that you need to fill out, it qualified me, my score again, to earn scholarships from my department specifically and my college specifically. So then I wasn't getting just these university scholarships. I had one from the college I was in and one from the department I was in. And of course, with that, you have to meet certain requirements, but if you've gotten this far, you can totally meet the requirements, I guarantee it. And so then with that, I had my tuition covered. Yes, my room and board and my living expenses were not covered yet. So I needed to move on to external scholarships, which, oh my goodness, and here is the magic of the process. You are not a National Merit Scholar, and now you need to fill in all of these like tiers of expenses that you've now built up for yourself, and external scholarships is what do that. I have here pulled up my the Texas Tech scholarship search website because that's where I did my undergrad. I'm at A&M now, but it's an amazing search engine. Honestly, if you're in Texas, go to this one. It's a great search engine, and it has, do you see my little scroller bar on the side? So many scholarships, and I am telling you, sometimes these scholarships actually only have like 2 or 3 applicants. People don't even know these exist, and if you apply for 20 and get 2 even, that's probably going to be like $2,000. And the best way I see to look at this is you have to look at applying for scholarships in your college years as your part-time job. And it's actually not even that much time. Like, the most time I've ever spent working on a scholarship truly was like maybe 5-6 hours, because I wrote an essay, I needed to edit it, I edited it several times, and I had to fill out a lot of other paperwork and get some recommendation letters, and so truly it was like 6 hours of labor. And the scholarship resulted in like $3,000. You break that into like amount you're getting paid per hour. Yeah, I was making well over like $500 an hour. That's kind of crazy. You're never gonna really make that much money in your life again unless you become very, very wealthy. So think of it that way. Every week have a goal of applying for 1 scholarship at least. I mean, it does not take that much time. As soon as you've applied for college, apply for these scholarships. So seniors for high school do this, and then college students do this too, because oh my goodness, they have so many scholarships for continuing education. I'm in a PhD right now. I am still getting scholarships for my education from outside resources, and sometimes, even though I'm in a graduate school program, I apply for scholarships that don't specifically say they're for graduate students, and they've made exceptions for me. Sometimes that's something you just need to keep in mind, is that requirements aren't that strict if they only have like 2 applicants. So read the requirements. Sometimes they're really strict, and it says Texas, this district, this, you have to live in this specific county, and you don't live there, don't apply for it. But I mean, some of the other less general requirements, like you have to be a 2-year college student, you can't be 3 years or 1 year. Maybe look into applying to those. Just use your discernment. But there are so many out there. And so this is my final wrap up, is you apply for these outside scholarships, treat it like a part-time job. And here are my tips for finding those scholarships. So for me, I was in the wine industry and I was in the horticulture industry. So what I would do is I would go to these scholarship search engines and I would search. So this is one of the best websites, in my opinion, is scholarships.com. Is you go to these websites, you make an account, but you use an email address that is completely new. Like, create a new email address. I have so many email accounts, it's crazy, but it helps me organize things. And if you create an email that is just for scholarships, it keeps you motivated to check that one. And if you get an alert that you received the scholarship, it's not going to accidentally get lost and everything else. And sometimes there's a deadline that you have to accept it by this date, and you don't want to miss those. It's money flying out the window. So I would say go to these websites, search your major. So if you're in journalism, search journalism, horticulture, horticulture. And I would just go through this list and I would apply for every single one that it seemed like I qualified for. Some I didn't qualify for. Some are merit-based, some are financial-based, but most are merit-based and just require an essay. So practice your essay writing, go to the writing center, find an editor. It's really not that much work for a lot of money. And then besides scholarships.com, there's also the collegescholarships.org. They also have a great one. I kind of like their formatting better for the way they list the scholarships. I have journalism examples here. So like this one, this journalism scholarship, you just have to be a U.S. citizen based on demonstrated academic achievement, be a journalism major, the end. Like, not even a college requirement or state. So apply, see what happens. Now, my final last resource is, or my two resources are, this is the SAT, PSAT college prep I used called College Prep Genius. There's the email, or not the email, the web address. It's affordable, it works, but use some other resources too. I would say don't just stick with this one. Do your own research. Maybe there's a new program out there that has rave reviews that I just don't know about. And then the other person I love is the Scholarship Shark. She has a podcast. She has lots of resources. She got her son to graduate college completely debt-free just by applying for tons of outside scholarships. She does a better job explaining this than me, and I followed a lot of her advice when it came to my journey. So that's why I'm recommending her so strongly. But the last thing I'm going to say is that many people don't even realize is you should apply for scholarships even after it seems like your tuition's paid off. You're like, I have enough for my living expenses. Keep applying, because if your tuition's paid off, you get the scholarship and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get the money because it's going to go to the school, but I don't, like, all my tuition's paid. No. The school will then, even though it's addressed to the school, the check, the school will get the money and then they will directly deposit it into your bank account. If you make sure you set that up, just make sure you set up direct deposit for the school, because they can't take that money anymore. There's nothing to go to, so it literally just goes into your pocket. I'm surprised people don't realize that, but that right there is how I graduated with savings after college, completing a 4-year degree. Here's my advice. These are my steps. I'm happy to answer more questions, ask questions in the comments, but I really hope this video was helpful. I hope I didn't come off too, like, pushy. It's just I'm very excited and I'm very motivated to help people realize you don't have to go into debt for college, because college, quite frankly, is kind of ridiculous right now, and you really don't learn too much, but sometimes you need that silly little diploma to say, look, I did it, I can do something without quitting, and you definitely don't need to go into debt for that. But okay, I will be back maybe with more advice for college, wine, homemaking, wife stuff, we'll see, but it's good to make another video, and I'll see you in the next one.